What's going on, everyone? JJ Zachariason here. I'm the editor-in-chief at FanDuel, also at numberfire.com. If you guys have not been around this YouTube Q&A in the past, it is at rapid fire. We only have an hour left until kickoff starts, so I'm going to get to these questions very fast. Two things just happened that are kind of surprising. Zach Moss inactive. Devin Singletary gets a very big bump against a Pittsburgh defense that's really not as strong as we saw last year. At least there's some differences in that front seven, but shouldn't be as good for as a unit this year as it was last year. And then the biggest surprise was Trey Sermon is inactive, so you got Raheem Mostert in store for a big workload in a plus matchup. Elijah Mitchell is someone who you should look at off the waiver wire right now. He is a later round pick. They drafted him after Trey Sermon. But if you look at their comps, Elijah Mitchell is basically a Raheem Mostert clone. So if you were able to get him in Dynasty this offseason, good on you. It's looking good for Mitchell to maybe see some work, and JaMychal Hasty's there too. But Mostert's the one who gets by far the biggest bump. I think that he's like a high-end RB2 at this point. I'm going to get to these questions rapid fire, like I said. We're going to start off with Brian, half-point PPR flex, Corey Davis, Chase Claypool, or Tyler Boyd. I think Claypool probably has a ceiling, but I'm going to go with Corey Davis in this matchup against Carolina. He should have a big day. Hey, JJ, hope you enjoyed the offseason. Happy to be back. I'm happy to be back, too. PPR, pick 2 of 5. Jamar Chase, Shenault, Sermon, Rondale Moore, your boy, Terrace Marshall. So obviously Sermon's not going to be one of those players. I think Chenault's one in a full PPR league. He's in a good spot against the Houston defense that everyone should be able to move the ball on. The other one, I'd probably go with Jamar Chase still, but I think that you can make a case for either of the other two wide receiver rookies. I think the one guy that stands out of that group is Shenault, who's going to see some manufactured touches in this Jacksonville offense. Next question is half PPR, need 2 wide receivers, Jerry Jeudy, Keenan Allen, Michael Pittman, or Jamar Chase. I would go with Jeudy and Keenan Allen. Jeudy has the better cornerback matchup among him and I'm fixing my screen a little bit, among him and Cortland Sutton this week. I kind of like Jeudy. I mean, I love Jeudy season long from that perspective, but I don't really mind him in this matchup, despite the fact that it could be a dumpster fire of a game. Next question, Tyson Williams, Trey Sermon, or James Conner? I'm going to go with Tyson Williams. 14 team, half PPR. Would you start Tyson Williams over any Claypool, Jeudy, or Darrell Henderson? I think I might consider it over Jeudy. If you need a floor, I think Tyson's probably the better floor there. But if not, I think Judy's fine in Claypool and Henderson. 1 PPR flex, have to choose between LaVisca, Pittman Jr., Devontae Smith. Of those 3, I think I'm going to go with Devontae Smith. I really like that game in general, could shoot out. And he should be the top target in that Philadelphia offense. Start 1 in the flex, full PPR, Brandon Cooks, Jerry Jeudy, Jarvis Landry. I think Jarvis Landry is probably the safest there in a full PPR. I'd probably go his way because I think that game could shoot out that Kansas City-Cleveland game. Devontae Smith or Javonte Williams? I'm going to go with Devontae Smith. We just don't know what Javonte Williams' workload is going to look like. Start 2 running backs in full PPR, Javonte Williams, Darrell Henderson, Austin Eckler, Sony Michel. I'm going to go with Darrell Henderson and Austin Eckler there. Half PPR, upside pick, Tyson or Edmonds. I'm going to go with Edmonds. I think Edmonds has a ton of upside this week. He has a ton of upside season long too, because what if they do use him at the goal line more than they did last year? Then all of a sudden Chase Edmonds is a lot more viable than he was last year. Look, I like Tyson Williams this week, especially because, the other running backs on that team are not ready to go. But Edmonds is in a game that is probably the most attractive game on this slate. Full PPR, would you start Tyson over Sutton or Sutton over any of these? Swift, Debo, Miles Sanders? I think you can hold tight with how you have them there. Half PPR, Devontae Smith, Tyson or Sermon. I would go with Tyson for the floor, Devontae for the ceiling. Start two in full PPR. Jeudy, Pittman, Golladay. I'm not starting Golladay this week. It's a tough matchup against Denver. Those are some of the best corners in the league. And then he's also obviously coming off that injury. So I'm going to bench Golladay there. Tyson or Edmonds, full PPR. I'm going to go with Edmonds in a full PPR league. I don't think Tyson's going to catch that many passes. Hey, JJ, thanks for tuning in. Half PPR, Chase Claypool or Kareem Hunt. I will go with, I want to go with Claypool probably. Miles Sanders or Tyson Williams. I think Sanders is probably the play, but it's pretty close. Tyson Williams or Cooper Kupp. I'm going to go with Cooper Kupp. He has a great matchup. Hey, JJ, Tyson or Jeudy in the flex. Thanks for doing these Q&As. This one's a toss-up. I think that Tyson's probably the floor play if you need more of that floor. So I'd probably go that way as like a safer option. Half PPR flex, Judy, Jacoby Myers, or Elijah Moore. All right, let me get it out there. I love me some Elijah Moore. He's going to play in the slot this week with Jamison Crowder out. Great matchup for him. I think of those three, I would probably still go Judy, but I'm very, very close to saying Elijah Moore. I don't mind all three of them this week, to be honest. I mean, all three of them sort of play a similar role in their offense, or could play a similar role in their offense, and being sort of possession guys, seeing a lot of volume. I'm just going to go with the guy who probably has the most talent right now, and that's Jerry Jeudy. But guys, Elijah Moore season is upon us. JJ half PPR, Devontae Smith, Chase Claypool, Elijah Moore. I think there I'm going to go with Devontae Smith. Full PPR, Hunter Henry or Zach Ertz. I guess I'm going to go with Ertz. He was one of my streamers this week. Need a wide receiver and a flex. Odell, Devontae Smith, Shenault, Terrace Marshall, Mike Williams, Chase Edmonds, Javonte Williams. I'm going to go with Chase Edmonds in the flex there, and I will go with probably Shenault at the wide receiver spot. We just don't know what Odell Beckham's workload is going to look like here in week 1. Half PPR pick 2, Pittman, Jamar Chase, Shenault, or Tyson Williams. And half PPR, I'd probably go with Shenault and Tyson there. I love Pittman today, though, too. That's a tough one. Pick 2 PPR, Mike Williams, Marquez Callaway, Claypool, or Marvin Jones. I'm going to go with Claypool and... Actually, I'm going to go with Marquez Callaway and Marvin Jones there. Half PPR flex, Corey Davis, Tyson Williams, or Chase Edmonds. I like Chase Edmonds there. I like all three of those options, though. 2 to flex from Sanders, Jacobs, A-Rob, and Thielen. I'm going to assume that's Miles Sanders. Jacobs apparently is a little bit banged up, but he is also facing a Ravens team where he could see a negative game script. A little bit scary there. I'm going to go with the wide receivers there. Deontay Johnson or Tyson Williams. I'd probably go with Deontay if it's a PPR league. If not, I'm going to go Tyson. Laviska Shenault or Brandon Cooks. I'm going to go with Shenault just because I trust that offense a little bit more. As much as we don't know how they're going to utilize Shenault, we don't know how Houston's going to really utilize Brandon Cooks with Tyrod Taylor under center. PPR flex, Trey Sermon, fart noise, he's out. Javonte Williams or Elijah Moore. I think I'm going Elijah Moore in a PPR league. Boyd, Pittman, or Corey Davis. I'm going to go with Corey Davis there. Love your work. Thanks. Pick 2, Elijah Moore, Kenny Golladay, Jamar Chase, Devin Singletary. I am going to go with Elijah Moore, and I think I'm going to go with Devin Singletary over Jamar Chase here. I can't play Kenny Golladay. I mentioned that earlier. I'm going to go Devin Singletary with that second spot. Let's see. 1 flex from Sanders and Higgins in a PPR league need ceiling, then go with Higgins. I just skipped ahead. Hang on, guys. I hate when it does this. All right, Higgins or Shenault. I'm going to go with Higgins. Drop Moss, add Mooney or Tony Jones. I would add Mooney. Jacoby Myers or Tyson Williams at the flex. I would go with Tyson in a standard or a half PPR league. Full PPR, I think you can go with Myers. PPR super flex with -4 in start 1. Tua, Jimmy G, Sutton, or Shenault. I'm going to go with Jimmy G. I think he's in a good spot this week. Don't really love Tua with some banged up weapons going up against New England. I know that Gilmore's out, but still. Hey, JJ, love the podcast. Full PPR, running back 2 slot, Tyson Williams, Javonte Williams. I'm going to go with Tyson Williams. I love Javonte Williams. Have him on so many of my teams, but I think he's more of a second half of the season kind of guy. Deontay Johnson or Laviska Shenault. I'm still going to go Deontay Johnson there. Standard league, Thielen or Keenan Allen. Man, I might go with Thielen this week over Keenan Allen. I'm going Keenan Allen. It's too tough to bench Keenan Allen. Pick 1 full point PPR, Pick 1 full PPR, pick 2 running backs. I don't understand what that means. I'm going to skip it. Jalen Hurts or Ryan Tannehill. I mean, this is like choosing 2 of my children. They're both in really, really good spots this week. I'm going to say Tannehill. He's a little bit safer of an option, but I love me some Jalen Hurts. Full PPR, Singletary or Marvin Jones in the flex. And full PPR, I'm still going to go Marvin Jones. DJ Moore or Tyler Lockett in PPR. I'm going to go Tyler Lockett. Chase Claypool or, there's no second option, so I'm going to go Chase Claypool. Hey, JJ, what do you think of Russell Wilson, Tannehill, and Kirk Cousins? I would be playing Russell Wilson, then Tannehill, then Kirk Cousins more than likely. I think you can make the argument, though, I would play Tannehill over Wilson. Kirk Cousins shouldn't even be in that conversation. Eckler or Swift, I'm going to go with Eckler. Love you, JJ. Standard, Jonnu or Hooper. I'm going to go with Jonnu, but I think Hooper is a low-key decent play this week against Kansas City, especially over on FanDuel and DFS. He's $5,100. You can stack him in that game, and I think a lot of people are going to overlook him. How concerned are you with A-Rob against the Rams? Pretty concerned. Start Ayuk or Julio over him. Yeah, I would start Julio Jones over A-Rob this week. Half PPR flex, Elijah Moore or Jamar Chase. I'm going Elijah Moore. Saquon or Tyson. I mean, look, you guys know as much as I do about this Saquon Barkley stuff. It sounds like he's going to see, let's say, 80% of his typical workload, but it's a tough matchup. I would still go Saquon over Tyson, I think. But if you're talking like Saquon versus Raheem Mostert, I'm going to go Raheem Mostert over Saquon this week. Devontae Smith or Chase Claypool in PPR. I mean, I'd probably still go Claypool, but I'm very close to saying Devontae Smith there. Debo or Mike Williams, I'll go Debo. Henderson, Gaskin, or Tyson, pick one in half PPR. I'll probably go with Tyson there. I just like his matchup. I'm not sure how many passes the other guys are going to catch anyway. Tyson or Swift in half PPR. Look, Tyson's safer. I think Swift has a higher ceiling. You can go from there. Claypool, Corey Davis, or Devontae Smith, full PPR flex. I'm going to go Corey Davis. I'm pretty high on him today, evidently. Shenault, Galladay, or Tyson in half PPR. I'm going to go with Tyson as a floor, then Shenault, then Galladay. Singletary, Landry, Pittman, half PPR. I will go with, I think I'm probably going to go with Singletary there. I worry about the touchdown equity a little bit. So if you need more of a ceiling, maybe go with Pittman or Landry. They're all clearly in the same tier, given the way that I'm talking about this. Callaway, Tyson Williams, Corey Davis, Pittman, full PPR pick 2. I'm going Corey Davis and probably Callaway. Actually, I might go Pittman, given it's full PPR. Judy or Edmonds, I'm going to go Edmonds. Edmonds or Tyson. If it's PPR, I'm going Edmonds. If not, I think I would lean Tyson, but I think that you could go Edmonds regardless if it's half PPR, let's say. Only if it's standard would I consider Tyson. Allen Robinson or Michael Pittman. I'm still going A-Rob there, I think. Half PPR, Henderson with nose tackle out or Tyson. I'm still going to go Tyson, I think, in a half PPR. Singletary or Devontae Parker. I'm going to go Singletary. I don't want to play Devontae Parker. Half PPR, Terrace Marshall or Rondell Moore. We're throwing darts. I think that Rondell Moore's situation is a little bit more attractive this week. That game could be really high scoring. I'm going to go with Rondell. PPR, AJ Dillon, McKissick, or Boston Scott. Boston Scott was sort of like a low-key start for me this week, so I'm going to go with Boston Scott. AJ Dillon, we don't know what his workload is really going to look like, with a better running back in Aaron Jones ahead of him versus Miles Sanders. And we've heard rumors over the offseason that they're going to split that Eagles backfield more than we expect. Lawrence or Murray at quarterback. I'm going Kyler all day. Kyler's probably the top quarterback today overall. Full PPR, James White or Javonte Williams. I'd probably risk it with Javonte Williams. I mean, James White's sort of just an incredibly safe, low ceiling pick. I don't mind him on your roster, especially if you want 0 RB, but Javonte Williams just has a high ceiling. So let's see, CEH or Mostert after the Sermon news. Yeah, I'd probably still go CEH just because that game environment is so good. We still don't know how San Francisco is going to split up that backfield because historically, even with banged up running backs in their backfield, they haven't given one singular running back a ton of work. Raheem Mostert actually has never had 20 or more carries in a game in his entire NFL career. So I'm going to go CEH, but it wouldn't shock me at all if Raheem Mostert ends up, outscoring him this week. Saquon or Gaskin, I'll go Saquon there. Half PPR, rank 4 flex. Rank 4 I'm not going to rank right now. Those are a lot of guys. Full PPR, Gesicki or Jonnu for tight end today. Probably go Jonnu. I just like Jonnu. I think he's going to be involved in that offense pretty heavily. Full PPR though, I actually might go Gesicki here because of the pass catcher situation in Miami. Juju, Galladay, or Callaway. I will go Callaway. Bryan Edwards, Terrace Marshall, or Jamar Chase. Probably Chase there. 1 p.m. Deep League running back upside stash. Rashad Penny or Ty Johnson. I'd probably go Ty Johnson. Drop Hurts or Tannehill. Need a kicker. I'd drop Hurts. I had Tannehill ranked ahead of Hurts in my rankings this offseason. What's the worst player you would bench Allen Robinson for? Bro, I can't think about that off the top of my head. PPR, Callaway, Galladay, or Juju. I will go Callaway. I think I answered that one. Pittman or Elijah Moore. Man, I really want to say Elijah Moore here. I'm going to say Elijah Moore here. I just think that he's in a really good spot. He's going to see the slot. He's a really, really good prospect. I like Pittman. Pittman's been a target for me all offseason. He has a good matchup today. I try to find a way to get both those guys in your lineup in a 12-plus team league. Half PPR, Singletary, Landry, or Pittman. I think Singletary has the floor. I think I answered this one earlier. I lost my spot again. JJ love the work. Full PPR, super flex league. Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, or Javonte Williams. I am going Trevor Lawrence there. Love his matchup against Houston. Tyler Boyd or Devontae Smith. I'm going Devontae Smith. Ertz, Gerald Everett, or Hooper. I'm going to go Gerald Everett there against the Colts. PPR Mostert or Cup. In a full PPR league, I'm still going Cup there. I really like Cup's matchup regardless. What do y'all think of Jalen Hurts versus the Falcons? I think that Jalen Hurts is a top 10 option this week against the Falcons. Flex Ertz, Terrace Marshall, or Rondell Moore. I'd go Rondell Moore. Jonnu or Higbee. I'm going to go Higbee, I guess. PPR James White or Tevin Coleman. I'll go James White. Chris Carson or Deontay Johnson in full PPR. I'll go Carson. I think there might be more touchdown equity there. Full PPR Flex Ayuk or CEH. I'm going to go CEH. Half PPR OBJ, Emmanuel Sanders, Jacoby Myers, Terrace Marshall. I'm choosing one. I'm going to go Jacoby Myers. Sam Darnold, Tyrod Taylor, or Kirk Cousins. I will go with Sam Darnold. Or actually, no, I'm going Kirk Cousins. I didn't realize Kirk Cousins was there. Look, Kirk Cousins is a very safe whatever option. I think Sam Darnold's a good streaming option. Tyrod Taylor's a decent enough streaming option, but Kirk Cousins would be your play. Better stash in Lindsey, Damian Williams, Terrace Marshall, Darnell Mooney, Beasley, Emmanuel Sanders. I'd say Darnell Mooney. Jamal Williams or Javonte Williams. I'm going to go Javonte Williams. Judy or Edmonds. I'm going to go Edmonds very slightly. What do we do with Trey Sermon? Is he droppable? Should I pick up Hasty? I went after Elijah Mitchell only because I think that he's better. And again, he comps very, very favorably to basically being a Raheem Mostert clone. But don't drop Trey Sermon. No, keep him on your bench. This could just be a situation where, I haven't read into it enough. He could be a completely healthy scratch. Maybe there's something that's slightly lingering, but if he is a completely healthy scratch, I would be shocked if, throughout the entirety of the season, Trey Sermon just doesn't play. Sit one, Allen Robinson, Judy, or Ayuk in half PPR. I'm going to sit Judy, but I really want to sit Allen Robinson. Half PPR tight end, Troutman, Juwan Johnson, Conklin, or Hooper. I'm going to go between Conklin or Hooper. Let's go Hooper. I think that game scores more points and has more points. But Conklin's not a bad streaming option. CEH or Robert Woods in the flex. Probably CEH. Hey, JJ, love the show. Half PPR. DeAndre Swift or Devin Singletary. I'm going to go Swift probably. Then Deontay Johnson, Elijah Moore, Jerry Jeudy, or Laviska Shenault. I'm going to go Deontay Johnson. Elijah Moore or Marvin Jones in half PPR. It's a toss-up. I think Marvin Jones is probably a little bit safer, but if you want to have fun with it, I'd go Elijah Moore. But I think my brain is telling me Marvin Jones. PPR, Laviska, Tyson, or Callaway. And PPR, I think I'm going to go with Laviska there. Sony Michel or Damian Williams. I'm desperate. Sounds like you're a little bit desperate. I'd go Sony Michel just because you can see that positive game script for the Rams. And he might be more involved than we actually expect. James White or Boston Scott in PPR. I'm going to go James White. Let's see. Lost my spot again. Fant or Gesicki. I'm going to go Gesicki. Swift, Elijah Moore, Judy, or Jamar Chase. I will go with I'm going to go with Judy there. PPR Saquon or Damian Harris. I think I would go with Saquon. Damian Harris in a full PPR league isn't as valuable. Callaway, Galladay, or Juju. I think I answered this one. Maybe I didn't, but I think I'd go Callaway. James White or Tevin Coleman. I'm going James White. Start Javonte Williams. It depends on who you'd be starting him over. Half PPR Judy or Corey Davis. I'm going Corey Davis. Half PPR Gesicki, Everett, Troutman. I would go with probably Gesicki. Baker or Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm going to go Baker. Sanders or Tyson. I'm assuming that's Miles Sanders. I'm going to go Miles Sanders. Elijah Moore or Javonte Williams in full PPR. I will go with Elijah Moore. PPR James White or Tevin Coleman or Boston Scott. James White. PPR 2 quarterback league, Burrow or Lawrence. I'm going Lawrence. Full PPR, and I need to start 2 of these 4. Saquon, Damian Harris, Gaskin, or Tyson. Look, I'd probably go. Oh man, we just don't know what Saquon's workload is going to look like. If you need a ceiling, Saquon should be in your lineup. If you need more of a floor, I'd go Harris and Tyson. Singletary, Shenault, or Elijah Moore at the flex in non-PPR. In non-PPR, I would probably go with Singletary. Swift, Elijah Moore, Judy. I already answered that one. Elijah Moore or Marquez Callaway in non-PPR. I'm going to go with Elijah Moore. I'm going to go with Elijah Moore. I think a lot of people would say Marquez Callaway there, but I'm going to go with Elijah Moore. Standard flex, Hunt or Singletary. Singletary, I think. I've read Saquon would only play 20 to 30 plays, 10 to 15 touches. That's a lot less than 80%. Yeah, there's been conflicting reports. There was one report that said that Saquon was going to play almost his full complement of snaps, and then Ian Rappaport said that he's not going to be used much at all. So I mean, if you have him, it's just a risky play, and it's not a great matchup either. It might be tough for you to start Saquon Barkley, but to bench Saquon Barkley rather. But if you have a decent enough option, then you can do it. James Robinson or Raheem Mostert? That's a great question. I think Raheem Mostert's probably the play. I mean, they're going to score more points. He's probably going to see just as big of a workload. So I'm gonna go with Mostert. Waddle or Deontay Johnson in standard? I would go with Deontay Johnson. Brandon Cooks or Chase Edmonds? I'm going to go Chase Edmonds. Damian Harris or Waddle? I'm going to go with Damian Harris. De'Ami Brown or Aguilar? Let's go with De'Ami Brown, another sleeper of mine this week. No Curtis Samuel. De'Ami Brown's going to play on the outside. Adam Humphries in the slot. Terry McLaurin, beast on the other side. I'm going to go De'Ami Brown, though. I think that he's in store for at least he could be in store for a decent game. Sam Darnold or Zach Wilson? Let's just go with the guy who's playing at home. Let's go with Sam Darnold. Bro, you skipped over both of my questions. I'm going as fast as I can, Andy. Come on, man. PPR bench stash, Juwan Johnson or Elijah Mitchell? Depends what you need. I think Elijah Mitchell is probably the better stash in a redraft league. For the last bench spot in a standard scoring league, would you drop Justin Jackson or Devontae Booker for Elijah Mitchell or stay put? I would drop both of them for Elijah Mitchell. Start one upside play, Terrace Marshall, Boyd, Marvin Jones, Rondell Moore. I'm going to go with Marvin Jones because I think you can find the end zone multiple times today. If not, you can go with Rondell. Edmonds or Shenault in full PPR. I'm going to go with Edmonds. Half PPR flex. Juju, AJ Dillon, Mike Williams, Jamal Williams, Devontae Parker, Elijah Moore. Probably going Juju there. PPR Chase Edmonds or Shenault. Just answered that one. I am going to go with Edmonds. Should I feel safe starting Eckler? I mean, safe enough. Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine that in a normal, 12 plus team redraft league, you have a better option. Drop Lance or Pollard for Boston Scott in a PPR league. No, I wouldn't do that. Half PPR Devontae Smith, Jamar Chase, Elijah Moore, Jacoby Myers. I'm going to probably go with Devontae Smith there. Better stash, Tevin Coleman or Phillip Lindsay. Neither of them. I don't know where the ceiling is going to come from Tevin Coleman or Phillip Lindsay at this point. For DFS, better duo to finish my lineup, Devontae Adams and Raheem Mostert or Kamara and Higgins. I am going to say, I always lean running back in terms of DFS, so I'll say Kamara and Higgins, but it's fine if you want to go with Devontae and Mostert in more of a GPP setting. Let's see. PPR start 2, Julio, Mostert, or Cup. I will go in PPR, Cup, and Julio. Cousins or Matt Ryan today. I will say Matt Ryan. Half PPR, Edmonds or Swift. I'm going Edmonds. Better stash in PPR, Scott or Elijah Mitchell. I mean, Scott's going to probably give you, I would probably just take a risk with Elijah Mitchell. So I'll say Elijah Mitchell there. Raheem Mostert or Josh Jacobs. I'm going Raheem Mostert. Full PPR, Melvin Gordon or Singletary. I'm going to go Singletary. Elijah Mitchell or Javonte Williams, I'm assuming. I will go with Javonte Williams there. Drop Ty Johnson or Pollard for a kicker. Drop Ty Johnson. Sit one, DJ Moore, Lockett, Adam Thielen, or Cooper Kupp. My goodness. How are these your options? I guess I'd sit DJ Moore, but those are 4 studs. Full PPR, Devin Smith, Jerry Jeudy. I'm assuming that's Devontae Smith. I'm going to go with Jerry Jeudy. I think he's a little bit safer in a full PPR. Winston or Mac Jones in the Scott Fish Bowl. I'll say Winston. Standard Julio or David Montgomery. In a standard league, I go David Montgomery. Non-PPR, Jamal Williams or Elijah Moore. I will go with Elijah Moore. With Sermon being out, would that elevate Mostert over CEH or Carson? Half PPR. I think they're all in the same tier. I'm not going to lie to you. If it's a half PPR league, I think they're all sort of in the same tier. Claypool or Deebo Samuel. I will go with Claypool. I'm going to go with Deebo. Ertz or Everett, swim to stream. I will go with Everett. Flex one, Ertz, Terrace Marshall, or Rondell Moore. I'll go Rondell Moore. Is Allen Robinson a play versus the Rams in full PPR? It depends on who you're starting him over. How do you feel about Latavius? I think he should be added. I think Tyson's going to get a shot to be the 1A in that offense, but as we know, Baltimore likes to split their backfield. Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson? I'll go with Russell Wilson, I guess. Full PPR, start Keenan Allen, Terry McLaurin, or Deontay Johnson. So you're only starting one of these guys. I'm going to start, I guess I'm starting Terry McLaurin. Elijah Moore or Mike Williams. I'm going to go with Elijah Moore. Swift, Javonte, or Tyson Williams. I don't know. Actually, I don't know what the rest of that means. Half PPR, Saquon, Pittman, Mooney, Hardman, Hines. That's a case where I would go with Saquon Barkley. PPR, Myers or Devontae Smith. I'll go with Devontae Smith. In the flex, Marvin Jones, Kareem Hunter, Mecole Hardman. Let's go with Marvin Jones. Half PPR, Devontae Smith, Swift, or Juju or Pittman. I think Juju is probably the safest play. But if you want more of a ceiling, go with Swift or Smith. Pittman or Tyson in a full PPR league. I think Pittman's probably a better play in a full PPR league. Tyson's not going to get that boost, given he's not going to see a lot of looks out of the backfield. Robert Woods or Raheem Mostert in the flex and half PPR. I think Mostert's a little bit safer at this point. You're a legend. Hail to Pitt. Yes. Hail to Pitt. Big win yesterday. Swift or Tyson Williams. I think Tyson's a little bit safer right now. If it's a PPR league, I think I'd consider Swift, but if not, I'd go Tyson. Eckler or Mostert in PPR. Look, I don't know what Eckler's workload is going to look like. It sounds like he's going to be fine. If it's a full PPR league, Mostert's safer. I'll say at least that. Look at your lineup. If you're a favorite, I'd go Mostert. If not, maybe I'd go with Eckler. Stash Justin Jackson or Boston Scott. Probably go with Boston Scott there. Jamar Chase, Jalen Reagor, or Tyrell Williams. I will go with Jamar Chase there. Boyd, Marquez Callaway, or Judy. It's between Marquez Callaway and Judy for me. I think Judy's safer. Marquez Callaway more of the ceiling play. Half PPR, Claypool, Elijah Moore, Devontae Smith. I will go with probably Claypool there, but I can make a case for any of the other ones. Add Mitchell or Hasty. I'm adding Mitchell only because I think that he's the better player. Pick 1.5 PPR, Darrell Henderson, A-Rob, Tyson Williams. I will go with probably Henderson. I just don't like A-Rob's matchup. PPR, White or Jamal Williams. Let's just go with White. We don't know what Williams' workload is going to look like, really. T. Higgins or Deontay Johnson. I'm going to go with T. Higgins. Just like the matchup a little bit more. Like that environment slightly more, maybe. Claypool, Devontae Smith, or Corey Davis in full PPR. I'm going to go with Corey Davis. Hold both Lance and Fields in a one quarterback league or drop Fields. If you can hold them both, sure. It depends on who you would be adding for them. Drop Michael Carter for Mitchell. I'd probably still hold on to Michael Carter. Full PPR, Cole Beasley, DJ Chark, or Galladay. I will go with, I think Beasley is the safest play there. No PPR, Raheem Mostert or Chris Carson. Same kind of situation. I'm going to go with Mostert, though, because I think that his touchdown equity / situation is a little bit better. They're going to score a lot of points today, or they should. LaVisca or Allen Robinson in PPR. I really want to say LaVisca there. I just don't like Robinson's matchup. I think if you look at a rankings list, it's going to say go with Allen Robinson. But if you want to get a little crazy and have a little bit more of a high variance play, I wouldn't fault you for playing LaVisca. I got 2 more minutes. Let's do this. Should I drop the Ravens defense because of Peter's injury? I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference for them to be completely irrelevant, especially against Vegas. JaMychal Hasty or Breida? That's a good question. I think Hasty's probably a better dart throw just because the matchup's better. Jamar Chase, Chark, or Sutton in PPR. I'm probably going to go Sutton. LaVisca or Callaway. It's a toss-up. I think I'm going to go with LaVisca. Baker or Jimmy Garoppolo. I already answered this one earlier. I'm going Baker. I think I'm caught up. If I missed your question, I'm sorry, but I'm now at the bottom of my list, so that's good. Jimmy G or Darnold. I'm going to go Jimmy G over Darnold. They have a much higher implied team total, better environment in general. I think a lot of people look at a game like we see with San Francisco and say, oh, they're big favorites. They're just going to win and grind clock. That's true. But in order to grind clock, you need that quarterback to do something and put up some fantasy points. Half PPR, pick 1, Corey Davis, Robbie Anderson, Tyson Williams. I would say Tyson Williams is probably the floor play and Corey Davis more of the ceiling or the higher variance play. Who starts first, Fields or Lance? I'm going to say Fields. Vikings or the Washington defense? I'm going to go with the Vikings. 1 o'clock stash, Boston Scott or Elijah Mitchell. Answered that one earlier. I'm going to go Elijah Mitchell. Elijah Moore or Mike Williams. Let's go Elijah Moore. Claypool, Devontae Smith, or Elijah Moore in full PPR. Full PPR, probably Devontae Smith, probably Claypool has the highest ceiling, and Elijah Moore sort of in the middle. Stash Elijah Moore, Terrace Marshall Jr., definitely Elijah Moore. Better stash Tony Jones or McKissick. I'm going to say Tony Jones. I got one more question. Would I add Hasty or Mitchell? Answered this one earlier, but I'll just end it with this and say that I am going to go with Elijah Mitchell over JaMychal Hasty because I think he's a better player. Ryan is going to be hopping on with Erin to talk some NFL betting this week. My brain is completely mush right now after answering all these questions.
I'm sure.
I appreciate everyone for hopping in and asking these questions. Ryan and Erin, you guys take it from here. I'm done. I'm going to go fix my lineups.
Good luck, JJ.
Take care, guys.
Oh, man, no problem. What's going on, FanDuel fam? And welcome to the FanDuel Countdown to Kickoff, I guess.
I guess we could term it that.
Yeah, why not, Erin? You guys are joining Ryan Williams here and Erin Dolan. You can find us both on Twitter, myself at Ryan Alexander_W. You can find Erin on Twitter at Erin Kate Dolan if you haven't already. And we are here to take your betting questions here, geared toward the FanDuel Sportsbook. Guys, get in there and sign up if you have not already. A lot of fun stuff that's coming in here, Erin. And as we start to get these questions here in the chat, I just want to ask you, just point blank, like, it's week 1. How excited are you? Let's get after it.
I'm so excited. I was thinking about that this morning. I was like, I went on a run because I thought I should work out before I sit on the couch until probably 1 o'clock this morning, then sit on the couch tomorrow night. And I sat on the couch all day yesterday watching college football. But I'm so excited. I feel like it's been so long, and we see fans in the stands now, which is even more exciting. We can kind of factor in home field advantage and whatnot. But I'm excited. How excited are you?
Oh, so excited. It's just, I can't believe that it's finally here.
I know.
Like you said, already prepared. I got my seat laid out on the couch. I got Red Zone queued up for after
Everybody
the show.
Just morphs into their couch.
Exactly. And getting the DFS lineups too there on FanDuel. I had to make sure I had those set before we started the show, and wasn't going to do some last minute changes. So we're just going to ride or die with week 1 and let the slate dictate itself. So let's get into the betting show. But before that, just shout out to JJ there for taking your guys' questions. You can, if you're not already following him, you should be if you're tuned into the channel. But at Late Round Quarterback is where you can follow him on Twitter. And as we get the FanDuel Sportsbook up here and go through these bets, Erin, I saw you had a lot of fun bets that I was interested in or looking
just mass firing this morning.
Exactly. I love it. I love to get the wheels turning early. So at this point in time, what would you say is your favorite bet or favorite couple of bets that you're looking at as we get here into week 1?
So I feel like the first couple of weeks of betting, and even people who are professional gamblers will say this, it's very tough because we don't have much to go off of except for preseason. Right. And that basically means nothing. And then for a lot of these teams, they have a new quarterback, so you can't factor in trends from last year, that we're going to have some rookie quarterbacks, which is exciting as well. So for this week, don't be surprised if your bets are not hitting like crazy because there's not a lot to go off of. But in terms of some of them that I like, I'll scroll down right now. I got the Cardinals +3. I know that's a little bit upsetting to some people because everyone I've been talking to is riding high on the Titans, but that line just moved down. So clearly there's been some sharp money placed on that. I also took the Eagles +3.5. That's a very biased tweet. I also took them this morning money line. I'm telling you, I took it biasly as an Eagles fan, but I think there is potential that they could win this game just given that it's the Falcons. If this was a tough contender or somebody that was high up on the list to potentially win the Super Bowl this season, I would not be taking the Eagles, but in that I am. Let's see, what else did I take? So these two teams, I know this is not popular, but I took the Miami Dolphins when they were +3. I also took the Bengals +3. I think both these teams could potentially upset as well. I think a lot of people are talking about the Vikings -3. Everyone on my timelines, Vikings -3, Vikings -3, but that line has not moved much. So I like the Bengals at home. I want to take some dogs in week 1 because why not take some dogs? I feel like this is the perfect time to do that because we, again, don't know how exactly these teams are going to play all out. Another bet that I really liked, let me find it. Sorry.
No, all good.
San Francisco 49ers. I got them 7.5 on Tuesday. Thank God, because that line has moved to -9.5. I would not touch this line now because it's moved out too far, and I'm having a little bit of PTSD from the Bucs Dallas game when I had taken them.
Oh my gosh!
And that line kept moving up to 9.5. I thought it was going to come back down, but I didn't take them at 9.5. I believe I had them 7.5. Bucs 7.5, and they obviously didn't cover in that game. So I'm staying away from anything that says 9.5 today.
Sure. Yeah, no, that Bucs game was, I had them in Survivor, so it came down to the wire there for me. But no, these are all good bets. I see people are getting the questions in, and I kind of wanted to point it in the direction of the Tennessee game there, because even from like a DFS standpoint too, the Tennessee-Arizona game getting a lot of traction. And we had Asu Debate, I believe is the name, Tannehill over under 245.5 yards. Absolutely love this bet. I mean, you're talking about an Arizona team that's coming into Tennessee, and we've seen before, I think a lot of people want to lean on Derrick Henry. He's usually slow to start at the beginning of the year. If Kyler's able to keep this offense afloat and put up numbers against this defense that is very just not good. They're just not a good defense in Tennessee.
Yeah.
I think that Tannehill can soar over that number. How do you feel about that?
I feel like at 245.5, you're seeing some other quarterbacks be around 250s high, 260s. And then we saw, obviously, Tom Brady and Dak Prescott went all out, soaring over 245.5. You make a great point about Derrick Henry. That's more so the issue of me saying over under here. I would assume he'd go over 245.5. But if he's giving the ball to Derrick Henry nonstop and they're basically rushing the ball the entire time, you could want to go with the under. But obviously, every single defense is trying to stop Derrick Henry, so it's designed that way. So maybe he will be slinging the ball and passing the ball. So for that reason, I would go over that number just because why take the under on that in week 1. See how he plays this game. I think passing yards, the one that I do like is Derrick Henry for tomorrow. I have him over in my same game parlay, which you guys will see what else I have cooked up in that tomorrow.
Love that. Yes, same game parlays, ton of fun action there that can be had at the FanDuel Sportsbook. Make sure you guys are getting that. There was some free money happening on the FanDuel Sportsbook too, so you guys look into those as well. I saw there was a question from Women's Coin as well, just geared to that game of the over. I do like the over. I've talked about that before. I think it opened at maybe 52, 51 even. I think earlier in the summer when the lines first came out, it's already been bet up to 53.5. I do like this game to be bananas and to go that over. Guys, get your questions in. I'm seeing some start sit questions. We definitely want to make sure that we're geared toward the betting lines. Going back to one of your bets there, Erin, another game that I was kind of looking at and interested with was that Eagles and Atlanta game. That is taking them plus 3.5, I think is really solid. I think you had some good tweets about taking them the money line on them and just kind of what that means.
That was impulsive.
I know it was, and it's okay. Sometimes we got to make those bets and have it be impulsive in that regard. But I do like getting action on that game, and I think there's some fun ways to take that.
Yeah, I feel like for the Eagles, of course, week 1, I'm from Philadelphia, so everyone's super excited, super hyped. We just wanted to see them do well, and thank God we're playing the Falcons in week 1. They only had 4 wins, I believe, last season. Matt Ryan's nothing to be so excited about, or their offense or defense at this point for me to say, oh gosh, we're going to get killed. So I feel like anything around that 3, that key number, I've kind of like to gravitate towards taking a lot of the underdogs in that sense. I know it's moved out to plus 3.5, but still from off of plus 3, I should say. But yeah, I think the Eagles are in a good spot to potentially win this and be an upset of the day.
Yeah, that's definitely a game that I'm going to be very tuned into, with a lot of fantasy implications there with the rookie Kyle Pitts and Calvin Ridley and having Jalen Hurts on teams. So I hope that your Eagles are able to pull it off. I'm going to kind of parlay this. I see David Kathman's in the chat asking about Eckler or Mostert in PPR, and parlay that into, you were talking about grabbing San Francisco line at 7.5, which I think is actually incredible. And I've seen some people trying to, I think it's now at 8.5 on some places, and talking about taking the Lion side. I couldn't do it. I know that Trey Sermon's inactive, so I do like Raheem Mostert in this game, David. I know that there's Eckler is active too, but just without having practiced too much and dealing with the soft tissue injuries, it's going to be tough for me to play him on the road there against Washington. But getting to San Francisco here, I think they're going to be the talk of the town as far as week 1 goes early. That game's on the early slate, and just with Raheem Mostert trending on Twitter, what are your thoughts about this game in general, Erin?
Well, again, I feel like the San Francisco 49ers are the play here. I can't take them at minus 9.5. I got the minus 7.5, thank God. But for this game, I just think it's going to be a blowout. A lot of people really like the 49ers in general to win the Super Bowl. A lot of people think they're going to have one of the best offensive lines. There's nothing I can kind of comment about that's terrible about their defense as well. Last year, they were just riddled with injuries. I would not base anything on last year. I know some people are going back 2 years. A lot of people are making the case, when will Trey Lance step in? Will he play maybe in the fourth quarter today? We'll have to see what happens with that. But Jimmy G obviously has the talent. He played under Bill Belichick at one point to lead this 49ers team. They also went to a Super Bowl appearance, but ended up not winning in that in that game, which was in Miami. I was there for that. It was a lot of fun. But in terms of Raheem Mostert, because I know that we had asked about this, anytime touchdown score for him is -135. I love the anytime touchdown score market. I'm not big on taking any player that's at minus money just because there's so many people that you could get at plus money that could potentially be able to hit this bet. But maybe that's something you want to add into something like a same game parlay and kind of mix it in there with those players.
No, I love that. It's just a fun way to kind of have a little bit action on the game without taking a stance on the if you don't feel as sharp with your bets, or you don't feel like you have an inclination on where things are going, but you want to say, hey, I think this guy's going to score a touchdown, or I think this guy might score 2 touchdowns. If you're talking about somebody of like Travis Kelce's caliber going against Cleveland, who has a tough time stopping tight ends, that it's a fun way to get action on that. So definitely make sure you guys are looking at the props, looking at those favorable lines, and anytime you can take a long shot bet in that regard too, it's just so much more fun.
And I feel like there's quickly just so much value in the props market as well. You just have to dig through some of the games, and a lot of professional bettors in general will say honing in on one league is a great way to bet, and then also honing in on one team and riding them throughout the season, whether you take them as a favorite, whether you take them as an underdog. Becoming so familiar with one team is also a good way to bet on the NFL.
No, that's a great point there, Erin. And just going back to San Francisco 49ers, I do see that the line has moved on the FanDuel Sportsbook up to 9.5. So that game is going to be very interesting.
Everyone's betting that up.
They're betting it up, and I don't blame them now that we and I think too, it was like, how's San Francisco going to move the ball? We don't know what the running back situation is going to be. We know Jimmy G is back there. Trey Lance not playing, I don't believe, in that game. So I think that now that the picture is starting to come into place here on the Sunday before, I think that's why the money's being bet up.
And this is kind of, sorry, not to interrupt you again, but with their total at 46.5, what's interesting is you could kind of, I feel like we do this in college football when we see a line, we're thinking, okay, this team's going to blow out this team, but are they going to be able to hit a certain amount of points in a game? Like, for example, like one team would have to be able to cover that entire number. When you're seeing it in the NFL, it's a little different. Seeing 46.5, you're thinking, okay, are the 49ers going to be able to hit that many? Because we don't see the Lions really being able to score, but can an NFL team really blow out a team like a college football team in that regard?
Right. True enough. Thank you guys for joining us so much here on the FanDuel YouTube channel. We're doing some best bets with you guys as we get up into lock there. Myself and Erin, Kate, Dolan. Erin, so looking at some of these afternoon games here, touched on Cleveland and Kansas City for a little bit. I think you talked about Miami and New England. I was talking about that game, kind of taking the under there. It's a divisional matchup. I think that both of these two teams have solid defenses. It's going to be hard for them to move the ball. But you had a good point there in taking Miami with the +3.5 there. Why are you inclined to take that here against a rookie quarterback, against Bill Belichick, with the Patriots being at home?
Yeah, so an interesting stat that I read, which I tweeted out this morning, is underdogs in division games in week 1 are 26-9-3 against the spread since 2013. I took the Dolphins in this one just because of the great storyline. You have Tua versus obviously Mac Jones, who's going to be the rookie quarterback. Bill Belichick obviously has a ton of faith in him in order to have him being the starting quarterback, to have them release Cam Newton on August 31st, which was such a shock. And then on top of that, Mac Jones saying, I'm not surprised in any shape, way, or form that I'm the starting quarterback. I just think Tua has more experience. I know that Ryan Fitzpatrick has obviously stepped in for when he was in Miami. Obviously now he's on the Washington football team, but stepped in last season to kind of help him in some of those games that he was pulled from. So Tua did not come out and play outstanding. He was obviously coming off that hip injury as well. He had all the offseason to get things in order. I think they won 10 games, I believe 10-6 last season. So I think they're only going to be better this season. It's a divisional matchup. I know it's in Foxborough, so obviously it's going to help the Patriots. Bill Belichick is not the type of guy to have the season that he had last season with Cam Newton and all the hoopla that went on around that team. So I expect him to be better. And he added a ton of players to their roster as well to help Mac Jones. I just think in this case, I like the Dolphins. I think it's a great storyline to see two Alabama Porter championship quarterbacks go against each other. They were once teammates in 2019, which is so weird to think about. So I wonder if this is the one game Nick Saban will be watching this afternoon. But yeah, I'm going with the Dolphins in this one. Again, just want to take some underdogs.
Yeah, I like that approach in taking underdogs. And even with Miami, when you're looking at this team from 2020, I get it. Fitzpatrick was there and we didn't see Tua for all but a couple of games, but you're still looking at a team that was 11-5 against the spread in 2020. And I think that they're only, say what you will, I guess, about Tua and the it's still out on what he's going to be. But I do think the team has gotten a little bit better they got Will Fuller. He's on suspension, not going to play in this game. It's going to be like the Jalen Waddle show there. Maybe we get some Mike Gesicki, but I do think that taking them 3.5 is the nice approach and the best way to go there.
I'm excited to see Jalen Waddle, Devonta Smith, Jamar Chase. I feel like there's so many pieces and former teammates coming together that it's so interesting to see what's going to happen. I mean, see, maybe Nick Saban is just cracking these players out and reuniting them at the same time. I wonder if it's going to be a way for these teams to kind of have an edge on each other, or if it's just, different times, different teams and whatnot, and it doesn't really factor in.
No, fair enough. Yeah, it is fun just thinking about. I know JJ was getting a lot of start-sit questions about the rookie wide receivers, and you're going through the list of them. And I mean, Elijah Moore, Rondell Moore, Jalen Waddle, Terrace Marshall, one of JJ's boys. It's just going to be fun to see these guys in action. Kyle Pitts with tight end, but still in that same regard, if you want to consider him a wide receiver too. So it could be some fun. There's fun ways to get action on these rookie wide receivers. As we know, the NFL game is turning into a more offensive approach. So that's kind of where these teams are going. Sticking on the 3 p.m. slate, so to speak, there. One of the lines, and I know you've taken a lot of underdogs, but I'd been talking about the Denver Broncos a ton when they were at 2.5 here going against the Giants. Like, we don't know is Saquon healthy? I don't know. It's hard to trust Danny Dimes. This team has not been good. Talking about the over-unders, I mean, this team with the Giants, 3 of 13, faring in the under last year in 2020, we could expect to see a lot of turnovers. But I think with Denver on that side, bringing Teddy Bridgewater, and this guy's been good against the spread his entire career, like 36 wins against the spread, I believe, 36-13. And so taking the Denver Broncos -3 right now is plus money, plus 100 on the FanDuel Sportsbook. What's your thoughts on that?
So I feel like everyone's talking about this game for some reason. I think because people in the offseason were riding so high on the Broncos and how great they're going to be, and Teddy Bridgewater coming in. Then there was the talks that Aaron Rodgers was going to potentially go there. Obviously, he's staying with the Packers for this, probably his last season. But in terms of this game, you make the good point about Saquon. We're not really sure about his health. That could be a strategy that they're trying to use, and he comes out and he's great. I personally don't trust Danny Dimes as well. There's nothing great about him, but some interesting stats in terms of this game. I know the Denver Broncos opened favored at -1, then it actually switched to Giants -1 and back to Broncos -3 at this point. But Denver was the only team in the NFL last season, which is interesting, to never be favored in one single game. So it's interesting to see week 1 being favored. Again, it's against the Giants. So coming at any team that was playing in the NFC East last season, I hope that the other team is favored, because we were all, like, just as a collective division, terrible. But New York is 1-9 in its last 10 week 1 games outright, with 4 straight losses. So I think that's also a trend to factor in. Obviously, Danny Dimes was there for some of those years. But the Denver Broncos, I feel like everyone's riding high on them. Considering that it's plus 100, I haven't bet on this game, but maybe I would lean to Giants +3, just given that is -120. Clearly, there is some type of uncertainty, because the Denver Broncos -3 should probably be like -110 to -120. So it seems like the odds makers are thinking the Giants have a chance to cover. Obviously, given it's +3, we could see a push if it's a really close game. But I think the Broncos are going to be good this season. They're obviously going to be better than they were last, just with all of the people that were injured. They are now back. But with the Broncos, I had made the mistake at our FanDuel Fan Fest of going under their team win total, and I got booed off the stage. And I thought that number was inflated because of all the talks about Aaron Rodgers. But this is the one game a lot of people are super interested about, and I think it's a very interesting game as well. We'll see how these teams play, but it wasn't one I was honing in on. I mean, we have the Packers and Saints up next, and I'm a little surprised by that line as well. I thought the Packers would be more -4.5, -5. I'm nothing against Jameis Winston. I just, he turns the ball over a lot, and the Packers are the team that I think could potentially win the Super Bowl. So that's another interesting game that I would rather watch. And that 4:00 slate, I would say. Also, the Browns Chiefs is going to be an unbelievable game as well. So it's just interesting to see people geared towards the Broncos Giants when you have two of those other games on.
Yeah, and I do want to touch on those games, but Aaron, I would have been right there with you getting booed off the stage because I took the under wins on the Denver Broncos too. I just, again, thought it was inflated just this year. So I guess, maybe they'll win, kind of like the Jacksonville Jaguars. Maybe they'll have success against the Giants this week, and then we could see a string of losses to make us feel good about those bets. Let's see. Let's take this in the direction, sticking on these two games here, or other two games in the afternoon slate that we have. I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on this KC Cleveland game, because KC was favored by almost a touchdown. It was going to be when the book opened, and now that line is creeping down to 5.5, minus 102 there if you're keen on betting that. And I don't know. I mean, I like Cleveland. I think that the hype is just getting to levels where I just can't get behind the public on it. And if you're telling me that I can get 5.5 on KC at home, like in a game where I think they, kind of want to show that they are the cream of the crop of the AFC, and just, had to watch Tampa, who just beat them in the Super Bowl, kind of have a tough one against Dallas. I really think they're going to come out here and try and lay it down on Cleveland. So getting 5.5 is where I'm leaning on that game.
Yeah, so it's all about like where you get your number as well. Obviously at 5.5, maybe you don't feel comfortable taking the Browns at that point, but this was an interesting stat because a lot of people, like you just mentioned, are going to think with the Chiefs, they just lost in the Super Bowl, they want to come out hard and heavy, but there's such a thing that I read about. It's called the Super Bowl hangover. So since 2000, Super Bowl losers are 9-12 straight up and 5-16 against the spread in week 1 of the following season after they lost in the Super Bowl, which I thought was interesting. I mean, obviously you can't always factor in every historic trend because every team is different. But then you kind of hear this stat. The Browns are 1-19-1 straight up and 5-15-1 against the spread in the season opener since 2000. So when factoring in all these trends, I'm like, which way do we go here? The Chiefs are 4-0 against the spread in their last 4 games in week 1. They're 12-2 against the spread in their last 14 games in September. But the Browns 4-0 against the spread in their last 4 meetings in Kansas City. So that's another thing you could factor in. So for me, I feel like reading the trends and reading everything about this game, you could go either way here. So there's so many other games you can bet on that. For me, I don't really have a read on this game. I think, like you mentioned, the public's really excited about the Browns. Also, when a team is so good for so long, people want to start betting against them. And I think a lot of people really like Baker Mayfield this season. I actually have him winning MVP as one of my long shots. It was cut in half by basically after the odds came out midway through the summer. It was in half because people were betting it down so much. So I think he has a great shot. I think they're actually going to win the AFC North. The Ravens, unfortunately, are so banged up. I feel very terrible for that team. And maybe if we have time, we'll get a little bit into Monday Night Football. But for me, I don't have a particular read on the Browns Chiefs. I'm excited to watch it. But based on the trends and everything I'm reading, I don't have a solid answer on this game.
Yeah, no, it's one that I just, I'm just surprised at where the numbers are coming in on this game. But you make some great points there. And really, I talk about that too sometimes with the historical data. And I'm one to love to look into the stats, love to look into as many numbers and trends that I can find, whether it's for bets or picking players for fantasy or picking players for DFS. And with Kansas City, at least, we do know that they're returning most of the starters that were from that team. So we're getting the same team that, equates to the historical trend.
But then we could say the Bucks, too. They brought back their whole team and everyone was riding high on them. And I mean, they still won the game, but maybe there is such thing as a Super Bowl hangover. You're so excited or you're so upset. I don't know, but we'll see with this game.
No, for sure. And speaking of Super Bowl, I think another interesting topic of discussion is what's going on with the Green Bay Packers now that they have Aaron Rodgers back. And this is a team that people are getting behind that I've seen from the public in the NFC with the Green Bay Packers taking on the Saints. Now they're 3.5 is the line that I'm seeing right now on the Green Bay Packers to win that game. And the interesting thing about this game, Erin, is that it's going to be at that neutral site, right? They're going to be playing in Jacksonville. We know that there's the hurricane that happened for New Orleans and Louisiana. The Saints aren't going to be playing in the Superdome for quite some time. So not playing at home, Jameis Winston with the turnovers here, like I'm just willing to take the Packers at that line of just over a field goal and just say, hey, if I get a couple turnovers there from Jameis, it could be a long day from the Saints, who don't have Michael Thomas. Their starting wide receivers are going to be Marquez Callaway and Traquan Smith. So if Alvin Kamara isn't getting going against this defense, it's going to be a long day.
Yeah, and this is the first time they're going to have a different quarterback since 2005. If they were playing in the Superdome, Rodgers is so much better playing in the Superdome, considering it's in Tallahassee, right? Was that what you just said?
I believe it's in Jacksonville.
Sorry, Jacksonville. Yeah. Apologies on that.
No worries.
I really think that the weather is going to play a factor in this. I think it does. When the Packers are used to practicing in a certain type of weather, you come down, it's super, super humid. Maybe that's factoring in. I think this line should be -4.5, -5.5, but who am I? I'm not an odds maker. But I just think with the Saints being +3.5 and kind of staying around that, maybe that's going to be the factor. Maybe they think there's not going to be as much chemistry because of things that happened in this offseason, but everyone's back. I mean, we all know that Rodgers, coming off a regular season MVP award, he still has, Adams with him there, one of the most lethal QB wide receiver duos. I don't really know with the Saints, like you mentioned Alvin Kamara, obviously after last season, he was injured. Then Jameis Winston, I think he's totally a gamble, but maybe we're 100%. Seeing something that, the Packers should be able to blow out the Saints in my eyes. But will they? That's why I think this line could be a trap game. +3.5 could be a trap game, and it might be the Saints who either upset them or are able to cover.
That's fair. And it's going to, we're going to see very quickly, right? Week 1 overreaction Monday that we're going to get with some teams if they don't pull off wins or if it's tighter. That'll be a fun one to monitor there on Monday with them. It's all those things that you mentioned, Erin, is kind of, I kind of am looking at the under in this game. We are going to have turnovers. Maybe it is sloppy. And at a neutral site, I think that the public will tend to think that, okay, this is Saints at home, like not thinking about the relocation, just that, this is going to be an explosive game with Aaron Rodgers on the other side. But maybe, if the Packers can just control this game and just get out with the dub and not have to, run their starters out there for a ton. I mean, they will, but not having to do much, control the clock. I think that we could see the under hitting in this game as well, too.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Couple more minutes here before we get to 12 p.m. if you're Central Time, 1 p.m. kickoff if you guys are on the East Coast, and having fun here with Erin Kate Dolan. Follow her on Twitter at Erin Kate Dolan. If you guys are just joining us, we're here talking betting lines, what you guys should be doing on the FanDuel Sportsbook here on the FanDuel channel. And Erin, before we do leave, I do want to get your thoughts here. We got the Sunday night game. Bears, my home team, traveling into LA, taking on the Rams. And then also we got that Monday night matchup, which Baltimore is my Super Bowl pick. So I'm really interested to see how things go there, facing off against the Vegas Raiders on Monday night. How are you handling the Sunday night, Monday night primetime games?
Yeah, so for Sunday night, unfortunately, I do think the Rams are going to win. I'm obviously not going to want to put money on the money line. -390 for the Bears. Andy Dalton, this is a crazy stat. He's 1-5 against the spread, 0-6 outright in Sunday night games. So for me, I think this is going to be easily the Rams. Could they potentially cover and surprise people? Obviously, at 8.5, it's a high number. Again, I'm kind of a little traumatized from the Bucs-Dallas game. I don't have any money on this game right now. Potentially, I mean, it's at 46.5. Maybe you want to go towards the under if you think they're not going to score. Yeah. I don't have much faith in Matthew Stafford. I think that whole trade is a very interesting thing that we could talk hours about.
Fair enough.
The Rams are going to be great. A lot of people think they're going to win the Super Bowl as well. They have a shot this year. Everything's in order for them. I just don't know if Matthew Stafford is going to be as amazing as everybody thinks. In terms of Monday Night Football, I wish I was at this game in Las Vegas. I am dying to go to that stadium. I do have the dog here, the Raiders +4.5 against the Ravens, only because of all the injuries that are going on.
No, that's fair. I really do like the under in Bears Rams, and those Dalton numbers are scary. So I
mean, makes sense. So we can't put Justin Fields in yet. I have him as my offensive rookie of the year, but I took him before Mac Jones and that whole situation with the Patriots when Cam Newton was released. But I do think that he'll be playing by week 4. I mean, Andy Dalton is nothing to write home about. I thought, and I'm not happy with some of the comments he was making that the starting job was his and all this stuff. And I'm like, good luck today against Aaron Darnold, and hopefully he doesn't sack you too hard.
Right. Yeah, those guys are going to be hungry, and they haven't really played in the preseason as well on the Rams side, so they're going to be itching to get on the field and itching to make a statement win here as they get their new quarterback and get him comfortable. Erin, this was fun.
Yes.
We definitely have to do this again. Shout out to everybody.
Back next week. Thank you for tuning in, people.
Yes, thank you guys for tuning in on the FanDuel channel. Shout out to everybody who stayed there. I know there were some people that got your sit questions in a little bit late, but make sure you guys are tuning in each Sunday to hear JJ and have him help you with your team. And then we'll also have some fun here on the FanDuel on the FanDuel channel, on the YouTube channel, leading up to lock, so that we can get your betting questions, we can get your DFS questions, and all of that. Erin, have an excellent Sunday viewing, watching. You guys were watching Ryan Williams. You can find me on Twitter at @RyanAlexander_W. You can find Erin doing all stuff for FanDuel and the FanDuel Sportsbook on social media and on Twitter. You can find her at Erin Kate Dolan. We'll catch you guys next week on the FanDuel channel. Until then, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. We'll get you some fun content, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
See ya.